simulcasting on Facebook. So hold on one second. I've just got to flip that switch too. And that basically sets us up. Okay, here we go. Good. So now we are on Facebook. In about 30 seconds we will be anyway. And so we're going out over the air in more than one way. Okay, perfect. We are live on Facebook right now. And we are also going live on the radio. And then also the show will be on YouTube later on. Just type in Gateway Podcast and Sidell. Put in the word Sidell because there's more than one Gateway Podcast. There's a different, somebody else has something called the Gateway Podcast. So I just want you to know it's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening. It's our Labor Day weekend. Interesting. What do you think about that? Here we are getting to the end of the summer, and or at least what we symbolically call the end of the summer. For us in Vegas, it's not the end of the heat of the summer yet, but it's coming. It's coming that direction. So I just want you to know I welcome any of you to join with me during this hour. I want to open myself to the idea, all of us to open ourselves to the idea that you and I are in the middle of a miraculous reality, and it's up to us. If we really want to discover the highest potential of life, we have to literally become the very miracle that we seek. And that's the focus I want to make tonight, is that we have to become what we seek. And so, let's double check in here. So it's just a real pleasure being with you here. I just finished let me do something here. Hold on 1 second here. I just finished doing a legal seminar for over at the Wynn Hotel for 2.5 days. That was kind of an interesting experience. Always good to be around some of the top lawyers in the country and get a lot of learning. So that was kind of fun. And so today is actually I went down even this morning. So I was there for the last 3.5 days. And you know what? I love to keep learning and growing, because that's how you make yourself a better human being. So tonight, that's really what I want to focus on for each of us. How can you and I open ourselves to the idea that this is a miraculous world? How can you and I open ourselves up to a more powerful, positive experience of life? Let me put on a little bit of music here for a second here. Let's see here. Hold on 1 second here. Sorry. So wherever you are right now, I want you just to open yourself to the idea that at this moment in time, and by the way, before I go on any second longer, I want to say something. I know there's people listening on the radio. I get different people calling me. I'll say hi to you, Patricia. Patricia called in last week. And, I know there's people listening that I'm not aware of it, presently or in the future. They might be listening to recordings. And I simply wish anybody who's listening to this that you be blessed, you be uplifted, and you be filled with a miraculous life. And that's really the whole purpose of this show, my friends. It's for you and I to walk into and live and embody a miraculous life. So I want you to think about it for a minute, my friends. I want you to think about it. Wherever you and I are, whatever's happening, whether we understand it or not, we're in a miraculous reality. We're in a reality that nobody has ever been able to understand or explain. And yet here we are, in the middle of it. So my challenge to you, if you're listening to this show now or in the future, is that you open yourself up to the idea that you're in a miraculous kingdom. That you're in a place where all things are possible. And that requires cultivating your mind and your spirit and opening yourself to the idea that magic and wonder is possible. So before we go on any further, let me just do a little bit of a meditational way of starting. Let's take a deep breath and just suck in the very power of life and love and grace and all that is good. Everything that is good. You are entitled to everything good in this life. There's no person on this earth more entitled to the goodness of life than you. No person. Just a second here. So wherever you are right now, open yourself to the idea that at this very second, you are breathing in air from a miraculous kingdom. You are sitting or standing or driving in a miraculous world. Just let the feeling of joy and love pour over your body, mind, and spirit. Right now, as you are in this precise moment, you have access to the infinite creative intelligence of reality. You have access to the ability to be more successful, happier, more vibrant, more alive, more loving than ever before. You have access to abilities to become healthier and more vibrant than before. So right now, as we're sitting here listening to this show, join with me in this moment and imagine yourself plugging into the cosmic intelligence, the infinite intelligence of reality. That's the power to literally fill you up with energy and power and grace. Right now, imagine that you are being filled with that as we speak. You're being filled with light and love and grace and healing, even as we speak, right this second. That all things are available to you right now. You've been given a body that has been described as fearfully and wonderfully created. Your body can go on a century. It keeps repairing and rebuilding and restoring itself. We've had the most amazing things happen in our lives. Any one of them could have cut your life short. But you're still here. So right now, open yourself to the idea that you have access, even right this as we speak, to health and possibilities for your body that you wouldn't even know. You might be one step away from a choice that can make you vastly healthier. Hey, Jonelle. Somebody tunes in frequently. I'll send you this simple message, Jonelle, because I've shared a lot of times. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. That's called the Hawaiian healing prayer. And it's just a little simple little thing to keep your relationships clean and clear and pure. And by the way, what you can do, anybody in your mind pops into your head, where you feel like you've got some separation going on with that person. Say the person's name. Could be anybody. I'll say Jonelle. I have nothing in that respect, but I'll say it right now. Jonelle, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. You see, and as you say those things, it kind of goes into your unconscious mind, begins to clear up the separation between you and other people. Suppose you have some sort of issue with anybody, your a parent, a sibling, anyone, somebody you work with. You could just say their name. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. That's a very powerful healing therapy, and it begins to clear your psyche from all the limitations that you normally experience. So right this second, I want you just to have the courage to join with me in knowing, without doubt, that you are loved by God. God wishes to pour the very kingdom of goodness upon you, pressed down and overflowing. Think about that. Are you willing to accept infinite light and love into your life right now? Are you willing to accept that you are beloved of God right now, just as you are? Are you willing to accept that right this minute, love and joy and grace and peace is rushing into your world, even as we speak? Are you willing to accept that right now you're at the right place at the right time for you? Are you willing to accept that whatever you think has been a mistake in your life has been forgiven and you can go forward completely free? A completely clear slate? Think about this right now. How would you live your life if right this minute you knew that you're starting completely fresh at this second with a completely clear slate a clean slate, what would you do with your life? You're starting it over right now. That's a great exercise for us to think about here. What would you do if you were starting your life over right now and the past was gone? There was no past, no story, no stories you have to live with, no traumas you have to overcome, no feelings of defeat that you have to turn around. What would it be like? Hey Debbie, how you doing? What would it be like if you could experience yourself as a new creation in God right now? How far could you take that? What if you suddenly started to look around you in this world and said, what choices could I make today? What if this was the first day of the rest of my life, which it is? But what if it was the first day you ever had existed? What would you choose to do? How would you choose to spend your time? Where would you go? Who would you associate with? Okay, we're going to have to go to a break. For those of you on Facebook, you can stay with me. Those in the radio will be back in about 3 minutes. Stay tuned, focusing on how you can become the miracle that you seek in this life. This is Robert Sidell. Back in just a moment. So my friends listening on Facebook, let's open ourselves to the idea right this second that we are in the fulcrum of great love and joy, greater than we ever dreamed of, greater than we could ever imagine. The good things are coming right now that you could never plan. Hey, Ernie. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, open yourself to the idea that you stand, as we speak, at the fulcrum of great joy, love, peace, and grace. Would you be willing to let that come into your life right now? A feeling of health, happiness, joy, fulfillment? What would it be like? What would it be like for you if you could truly know that the best is yet to come, even as we speak? Hold on a second here. Hold on a second here. I gotta do something here. Okay. Just a minute here. So here you and I are. Let's open ourselves to infinite grace right now. Let's release the burdens we're carrying, the stories we're carrying, the doubts we're carrying, the healing we're carrying. Let's open ourselves to a new life right now of goodness, of health, of happiness. I want you to just think about what I was saying earlier. What would you do if this was the beginning and you had a completely clean slate? Where would you go? Okay, what would you do? Hold on one second. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here tonight. This is the Gateway Show. It's on every Sunday night, 6 to 7 p.m. live. And I'm thrilled to be here with you, to have a chance to experience this time with you, share love with you, share grace with you, share healing with you. This is the beginning of the rest of your life? Where do you want to go with it? What will you accomplish? What dreams could you work on? What things could happen? How could you begin to cultivate your mind to unleash the miracle working potential? Think about that. How could you begin to cultivate your awareness into a miracle working possibility? What would you do if you had unlimited choices in front of you starting today? What would you do? Where would you go? Who would you associate with? What books would you read? What dreams would you pursue? This world is always unfolding in ways we can't anticipate. I had a funny experience this week involving my miracle card. Let's see if I have one of them here. I do. For those of you looking right here, you can see I'm holding it up right there. See? Expect a miracle. It's funny. I like to give those out at different times to different people when I feel like it's, I'm inspired to. And I got a call Friday night about 8 o'clock. Somebody called my office. Turned out it was an officer, I think probation or police or some kind of an officer calling from the East Coast back in Maryland. And they wanted to know if I knew some gentleman. And they told me his name. I didn't know his name off the top of my head, but this officer's husband had been sitting with this man on an airplane which got stuck on the tarmac for 6 hours. And he was on the way to South Africa. And somehow he had a copy of one of my cards, Expect a Miracle cards. And then he gave it, when he was leaving, he turned around and gave it to his seatmate, who was the husband of this officer. And they started thinking, well, maybe that man needed some help or something. So they decided to call the number on this card, thinking that maybe I was a family member or something. But in fact, I wasn't, of course, but everything was okay. It's just they didn't know why they got this card. So I'm thinking it's just sort of funny. Obviously, I handed out that card at some point or another, and it got into that man's hands, and then he turned around and handed it to another man, and then they called me back from the East Coast. So you never know when you're going to make a difference with a card like this. I'll show you the card right now again. Oops. There it is, yeah. Expect a miracle. I want you to know, I like to give that card out, and I try to go with inspiration. And I can't tell you how many times people tell me, even in the last couple of days, that it totally made their day, changed their trajectory of their life. So I try to follow my instincts that way. So here you and I are on a Sunday night. The question is, how much courage do we have? How much courage do I have? How much courage do I have to reimagine my existence? Maybe that's really as much a way to describe it as anything, what we're talking about. How to reimagine your existence. How could you reimagine yourself? Think about that. How could you reimagine your life? How could you see yourself in a new way that would empower you more powerfully? How could you do that? Oops, hold on a second here. So how could you, what could you do differently? What choices are available to you that maybe you've been overlooking? What choices are out there that you've overlooked? What answers are waiting for you that you could discover and find? That could unleash possibilities in your life you could never imagine. What could you do? What could you do to improve your income if you need more income? What could you do to do that? What business ideas are you overlooking? What could you do regarding relationships? Are there friends that you would seek? What would you like to do with those friends? What people could you reach out to give you guidance and help on? Who could you reach out to for help? Who could you reach out to that might be a potential friend just waiting for you to meet and know the person? I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and I've known him for about, let's say, over 30 years. And he was going through a few years back a hard time. One group of friends had moved on, and he didn't know where he was headed, and he was feeling kind of rejected. And I told him, I said, you know what? Your best friends, some of them you haven't even met yet. And he told me when I was talking to him last week, he goes, when you said that to me, I thought, is that really true? He goes, but sure enough, this guy came into his life and it totally changed his life. So he developed a very close friendship. And then he went on to have a number of very close friends. What I'm getting at is, you never know when you're going to say something to somebody that can make a difference. And the same thing is also true for each of us. What possibilities are waiting for us right now? What things are we waiting for that could change the very trajectory of our life? What choices could you make that could change the way you live your life? Is there a class you could take? Is there a business opportunity you've been thinking about? Is there a trip you'd like to take? Last week, following this exact philosophy, I went back to Minnesota. One of my friends was turning 80. So, following the same philosophy, I decided I'm going to go to that party. It was a surprise party. And it's funny, there were a lot of people there. I think he was surprised. He was surprised, I shouldn't say. It's like he was thinking, what in the world's going on? Who are all these people? But it was fun for me. I took action. Went to Minnesota for the weekend and ended up going, and as a side trip, while I was back there, on the very first day I was there, I found out that there was Minnesota State Fair was going on, so I went to the Minnesota State Fair. And you know what? It was just a magnificent, beautiful experience. Magnificent, beautiful experience. And if I hadn't chosen to say yes to that opportunity, none of it would have happened. So how many things are like that waiting for you and I? What things? Hey, Marianne, how you doing? I haven't seen her. I knew you were there for a while. What choices could you make to go open up your life in new ways? What things have you ruled out because you think you're too old? Or you're this or you're that? What beginning could you discover again tonight? What beginning could you find? So I invite you tonight just to open yourself to the idea that you and I have been given the gift of faith. And that faith we have the ability to use, to trust. I choose to put my faith in God. I choose to put my faith in a miraculous world that's greater than I could ever dream of. I choose to believe and know that the best is now in front of me and you. I choose to know that we live in a miraculous kingdom, which is always waiting to unfold and bring us new opportunities if we're open. I choose to know that we are truly forgiven of our past if we feel need for forgiveness. I choose to know that we've been released into this moment as the beginning of a miraculous dimension of life. I choose to know right now that you and I we are all infinite workers in a miraculous kingdom. I choose to know that there are opportunities coming into our lives, even as we speak, that we could not imagine. They're so great. I choose to know that for each of you listening right now, that God loves you with all of God's heart, mind, and soul. And you know what? That's what you and I can do also. One of the things Jesus was asked during his lifetime, he said, well, what can we do in our relationship to God? He says, love your Heavenly Father with all your heart, mind, and soul. So how many of us do that? If we really want to imbibe and start to live a super miraculous life, we have to be willing to dare to know, hey, this world is 1,000 times more miraculous than I ever imagined. It's 1,000 times better. There's more possibility, more hope, more joy than I ever dreamed possible. You and I have to dare to know that. We have to dare to step into that miracle-working dimension of life. We have to remember that whatever our story is in the past, today we have a new set of choices. What would you like to see happen in your life? What would you like to see happen in your world? What would be magical? What magical things could happen for you if you didn't limit yourself by what you thought you could do in the past? I'm thinking the same thing for myself as I'm asking that question. We're going to go to a break now, by the way. For those on the radio, I'll be back in a moment. For those of you on the radio, stay with me. When I get back, I'm going to keep going over that idea. You and I can live a miraculous new life. I want you to choose that tonight. This is Robert Sidell. I'll be back in just a moment. So what would you be? What choices could you make? What choices would you make tonight that would be different than the past? What choices would you do? What would you like to have happen if you had a chance? What would you like to happen? So, hold on 1 second here. Oh, there we go. So I just want to ask you, so I'm going to go through some series of questions here tonight. Some of these were questions that Tony Robbins, a motivational speaker, came up with. They're just different ideas of how to cultivate your mind. So I want to just ask you some of these questions as we're going along on the show tonight. I'll start the questions when we come back from the break. So wherever you are right now, whoever is listening, if you could snap your fingers right now, and miracles would happen, what would you change? What would you change and who would you change right now as we speak? What would you do? Here you're in the middle of this unlimited gift. What choices could you start making tonight, right now? What choices could you make right now in this life? What could you change? Or how could you appreciate the people that are in your life? Just imagine right now that you are traveling through a miraculous dimension of being that's limitless, and you could accomplish so much more than you ever imagined. What can you do? What should you do? Are you living according to your values right now? Are you living according to the values that you have right now? You are listening to this show right now. That means you're choosing to actualize yourself. What would you be like if... Okay. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. Welcome you back to the Gateway Show on every Sunday night, 6 to 7 p.m. live. Even though I don't see any written feedback from the people that are on the radio, I do want you to know I know you're all there. Different ones of you call me at different times, and so I want to wish everybody listening on the radio a blessing and a healing and a beginning of the best days of your life. If we truly believe in God, our best days are in front of us. No matter what we might encounter here in this world as we age, the inevitable ultimate outcome is wonderful. And it's worth opening your mind to that possibility. But I'm also open to the idea, what I'm here to sell you on the idea of, is that your future right now here in this world can be wonderful too. That you can walk into a wonderful future. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, just for you to think about. What do you truly... Hi, Capri. What do you truly want? What do you want out of your life? What is it you're looking for? Friendship, love, healing, travel, happiness? What are you looking for? That's question number one. Number two, are you living according to your values? Are you living your life? Are you living the life that God wants you to live? Are you living the life that you think you should be living? And how could you be living it more effectively? How could you be living it more effectively? And here's a third question for you. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to you? Are you living a successful life? How could it be more successful? Now, you're the one that defines success. It doesn't necessarily involve money at all. Success could be friends. Success could be having a body that works well. There are all sorts of things. What does success mean to you? And what are your values of success? What are your biggest strengths, and are you using them? We all have different strengths. What are your strengths? Are you using them? I'm fortunate because in my law practice, I get a chance to use my strength. One of my strengths was just communication. So whether I'm dealing with clients or whether I'm dealing with opposing parties, there's always communication. So that's one of my strengths. So I'm very fortunate I've been able to do that. What about you? What are your strengths? Are you living them? Are they fulfilling your dreams? What are your strengths? What habits do you have that are helping you and hurting you? Think about that. What habits do you have that are both hurting and helping you? Well, I'll tell you an example of a habit that I feel good about. Like I said, I went to a legal seminar the last several days. There were probably 1,000 attorneys there, believe it or not, mostly from out of town. Almost nobody that I knew here in Vegas. But I sat there in that conference, studying and learning, even though I'm 72. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's kind of like my dad. He kept educating himself in his medical profession his whole life. And you know what? So I was kind of proud. That's a habit I like. I want to continue learning. And then I saw neat people, met good friends. A lot of neat things happened. But that's all because of that habit of continuing to say yes to opportunities and grow. So for 2 full days, actually 2.5 days, I was over there at the Wynn Hotel. And it was a lot of fun. It was beautiful. I learned a lot. And that's a habit for me. So what habits do you and I have? And are your habits supporting you? When I went back to Minnesota last weekend, that's a habit. I call it the say yes habit. When possible, I like to say yes to opportunities. Unless they just don't fit into my life, they're not right. Oh, and there's Andy. Okay, great. Andy says you would have loved that. You would have loved that fair, Andy. I guarantee it. It turns out it's one of the top fairs in the country. I never even knew about it. In fact, I just read online today that they had a record attendance this year. They were getting like 200,000 people a day. Can you believe that? 200,000 people a day at that fair. But that's a habit I have, to say yes to opportunity. What about each of you? Are you saying yes to the opportunities of your life? Have you written off your life? Are you saying you're too old? And I'm talking to myself, maybe even more to you than you. Am I thinking I'm too old for whatever dreams I might have? Well, my dad, when he was 92, he went to Antarctica. When he was in his 80s, he traveled all around the world. What about you? Are you taking action in the direction of your dreams? Okay, how about another question for you? Are you taking care of your physical and mental health? Well, you can actually say, if you're listening to this show, you're just taking care of your mental health anyway. Because what we're doing really is trying to relax ourselves and charge ourselves with inspiration and ideas. I just want you to think for a moment, whether it seems real or not, that you and I are in the middle of a miraculous kingdom. Right now. And good and opportunities could come to you that you could never imagine. Could show up tomorrow. Show up an hour from now. You never know what good God has waiting for you. But you've got to say yes to God. Or as Joel Osteen likes to say, I went down and met with him. I got a chance to meet him about a month or so ago. And I love some of his sayings. You have to get in agreement with God. It's just a neat way of saying you have to get in alignment with the highest possibilities for your life. Isn't that what we're really talking about here? We're to give up the stinking thinking that makes us think the best is behind us, instead of opening ourselves to the idea that amazing good is coming. I'm thinking the same thing for myself right now as we're speaking. What possibilities? What am I overlooking? What can I do to improve my mental and physical health? By the way, when it comes to physical health, are you all getting physicals every now and then, like once a year? What are you doing to maintain your physical health? Here you are in this body. It's so incredible. Our bodies are so incredible. And they can be upgraded. I have to say, it's just kind of funny. I got new lenses put in my eyes when I had my cataracts taken out about 4 years ago now. I don't wear glasses at all anymore. So I got upgraded. For 60 years or so, I had to have lenses in my eyes that I had to, contact lenses. I put it in every day. I had to take them out every night. I don't have to anymore. I got upgraded. What other ways could we be upgraded? Oh, Ernie just said he just joined us for the radio show. Perfect, Ernie. That's perfect. You know what? So, yeah, that's a good example. Are we going to the gym? For the last few weeks, I've been doing so much traveling and different things. I actually got out of the habit over the last 3 weeks. I have a great wife, I have to tell you, a great wife. I told her, well, all these things have been coming up and I got too busy. She goes, no, be honest about it. If you really wanted to go to the gym, you could have gotten up earlier and gone. And she's right. That's what's good about having a good wife. She keeps me honest with myself. But I feel better when I go to the gym. I did go to the gym today. Didn't stay there very long, but I did go. So let's come back to some of these questions again. Here's another question. Who do I spend the most time with and how do they influence me? Who are you hanging out with? Who are you hanging out with? That you're going to become like the people you hang out with. If you're hanging out with this show right now, even if it's on the line, guess what? It's going to change your life. Because I'm reminding you about the truth about you. I'm reminding you of the fact that there's an infinite loving God that wants the very best for you, wants you to get in agreement with God's goodness, and wants you to open your mind to new possibilities. Can you see how different that would be than if you wake up every day saying, oh, just another day? What if you say, wow, another new day? I've been talking recently about having what I call a miracle cascade. A miracle cascade. When you wake up in the morning, you can have a chain of events in your life, right? We all have that sometimes, a chain of events. How about having a miracle chain of events? How about if you start in the morning and say, I wonder what miraculous good things are going to happen today? And then suddenly, bing, 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 bing. You'll notice as you go through the day, neat things start happening. Are you willing to dance with God like that? Are you willing to open yourself to the miracle working power of divine grace? Are you willing to open yourself to the infinite miracle working power and let it flow in and through and as you? How would you like to have a miracle cascade in your life? A cascade of miracles. When you wake up in the morning, say, I wonder what amazing things are going to happen today. What miraculous things are going to happen. What wonderful good is going to happen today. What blessings are going to happen. What healings. What new opportunities. What new kinds of love. What new kinds of joy. What new possibilities are going to come to me today? Here's another question that will help heal you. What am I grateful for today? What am I grateful for today? I'm grateful to be alive. I've had 2 brothers die a lot younger than I am. I'm grateful just to be here with you. I'm grateful that I can see my kids, my family. I'm grateful to be alive. What are you grateful for today? Are you grateful for your life? We're going to have to go to a break now. The Robert Sidell, stay with us. When we come back, we'll have Ernie and Janet with us also. Stay with us right now. There's Robert Sidell. So, my friends, I want to encourage you to reinvent your life, reinvent your existence. What sounds like fun? What sounds like joy? What would make your life a better, happier place? Let's see here. Hey, Ernie.
Okay. Okay, I'll be on the Zoom, okay, honey? But
To be on what?
on the Zoom call. Zoom.
We can hear you both now, right now.
Oh, okay. Hi,
Just wanted to let
Robert.
you know. All right. We'll be on the air in about a minute. We're just going to be back on the radio in a second. Here we go. Hey, good evening. This is Robert Sidell.
Yes.
Great pleasure to be with you here tonight. Gateway Show, 6 to 7 p.m. live, number one talk station in Las Vegas, also simulcasting on Facebook. And we have Reverend Ernie with us here tonight. And all right, so how are you doing tonight, Ernie?
Wonderful, wonderful, Robert. Doing good. I'm enjoying your program here. Oh my, all this inquiry questions. It's soul searching. So beautiful.
Well, thank you for saying that. You know what? That's what we want to do. It's like, how are we going, Ernie? How are we going to get the most out of our life unless we ask ourselves questions like that some of the time? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it
And
is. I mean, wow. It's to really make you think. And I like your opening statement about through faith we can become the very miracles we seek. Well, that's kind of boils down to all these questions into that into the faith.
well, I think, and that's you know what, Ernie, um, you and I have been on a faith journey for a long time, and as friends, but also in our whole life for even before that. And it's always a question. You know, it's one thing to talk about faith in God, but do we really have faith in God? Do we really trust in God? So I even doing this show tonight, it's for me, it's getting me to think about things completely differently. Even just so, I'm sure there's an old saying where we teach what we need to learn. So I'm sure I'm learning, and what I'm asking everybody else is what I need to ask myself. And that's what I was thinking. Is what could I do differently? Here you and I have this gift of life. We're in this eternal divine journey. Let's not waste even a drop of it. Let's get the very most out of it. Let's become miracle workers in our miraculous kingdom. So, Reverend Ernie, you got a prayer for us?
Yes, Robert. Yes, I do, and thank you. Thank you very much for me to share this prayer. And the topic of the prayer is, "You are the miracle. Become the change you wish to see." Dear Lord, thank you for this blessed day. Thank you for giving us opportunity to experience this life journey. Guide us to be in awareness of becoming the change we wish to see, focus and recognition of good, happiness, and love for our loved ones, neighbors, our communities, nation, and around the world. Lord, we pray for all humanity to recognize becoming the change we wish to see, which is available to all mankind, and transform that change into good, happiness, and love, changing our lives. Thank you for blessing us with thoughts and feelings to make sound, good decisions and focus in our life journeys for fulfillment of the attributes of good, happiness, and love, creating heaven on earth. And so it is. Amen.
You know, Ernie, you always do such a beautiful job with that. Your prayers, well, and see, just like we're asking questions as a way of cultivating our consciousness, aren't we? Well,
Yes.
prayers are another way to cultivate our consciousness, aren't they? And they're reminders that we live in a divine journey that's infinitely beyond what we understand. And I just love this idea. I just love the sound of it. A miracle cascade. Doesn't that sound nice? Like a cascading uh, waterfalls coming over an edge. Only how about a
Yeah.
cascade of miracles coming into our lives? So how about that's what I'm really opening myself to. And even as we're sitting here, let's open ourselves, Ernie, for you and me, whoever's listening this, whoever listens in the future. Somebody just posted, says, I'll listen later after walk the dog. Thanks for all you do. Is a friend I know from California. But so let's you and I open ourselves to a cascade, just a flow, an outflowing of miraculous new interventions in our life. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yes, it does.
I mean, it's like how much can we really open ourselves to? How good are we willing to have it be? How good can we accept our lives as? What are we willing to see them for and as? And that's what I want for each of us. Is just for everybody listening on the radio or wherever you might be, I want you to dare to know that God really wants, there's good things God has waiting for you right now. And I heard it said once that some people could get to heaven and they look down and there's a bunch of boxes that are all wrapped up and You say, God, what's that? And he goes, oh, those are some of the gifts I had for you, but you never opened them. See, we have to decide, are we going to open the gifts God has waiting for us? Are we going to look for the possibilities of our life? Are we going to cultivate our consciousness? Are we going to seek miracles in all ways, in every moment? That's what you and I have to open ourselves to. And then see whether or not, if we do this as a daily exercise, there's some, if you get in a shower in the mornings, lots of people do, it's a great time to do some affirmations. Repeat
Yeah.
some positive affirmations, right? Do you do that too sometimes, Ernie?
Yes, yes, sure, of course. Yes.
There's my book has some affirmations in it, the Gateway, and the bottom line is that it allows you to. It doesn't matter what the affirmation is. If you're in the shower and you're saying, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm a miracle worker in a miraculous dimension. I go into this day boldly expecting and accepting miracles in every way." Can you imagine? Your day is going to be a lot better, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
And And Ernie, that's just what you and I have to get in the habit of doing. And I'm not, or anybody who depends what we want out of life. That's what the questions I was asking were about. They're just these questions, It's like, what do we want? What do we want? I'm going to read those questions real quickly again. I'll read them one more time. What do I truly want in life? Am I living according to my vision, my values? What does success mean to me? These are some. These Tony Robbins had some. Tony Robbins had some of these questions. What are my biggest strengths, and am I using them? Who do I spend the most time with, and how do they influence me? What habits are helping me, and which ones are holding me back? Am I taking care of my physical and mental health? What am I grateful for today? What would I do if I weren't afraid of failing? How do I handle setbacks and challenges? Am I investing in myself and in my future? What legacy do I want to leave behind? And what does a fulfilling life look like to me? I'm glad I read that last one. What legacy do I want to leave behind? When I went to a law conference yesterday, that was the very topic of the conference. So maybe I'm supposed to hear that message. What is the legacy we want to leave behind? And for me, I want to leave behind the idea that we can live trusting in God and good can come to us. That there's a divine path of freedom. I think wouldn't you say that's kind of your path too, Arnie? Wouldn't you say that your goal is to guide people? Oops, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you still hear me, Ernie? Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can hear. Yes. It
Okay.
was down for a minute. Then, okay.
Oh, I see what happened. It says the
Okay.
internet connection got unstable for a second. Can you hear me now still?
Now, yes.
Okay. So we're almost out of time. But let me just say this to you, for everybody listening, to you too, Ernie. I want to thank, for each person listening, I want you to know I love you. We love you. We pray that miracles be with you, that good be with you, and this be the very beginning of the best days of your life. This is Reverend Ernie and Robert Sidell, and this is the Gateway Show. Wishing you a miraculous week, life, and future. God bless. Until next week. It's Robert Sidell and Ernie Martin.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. God bless.
God bless.
See you later, Ernie.
Bye-bye now, Robert.
Bye.